Bonjour and bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
I'm with the beautiful, irresistible Tricia Conover. Conover. Many pronunciation because she speaks many languages. Francophile, amazing scientist, incredible wine writer, and pursuing the search of great wines. And she's with us today in Napa Valley. And we could not resist of the fact that we could do a little JCB live, so we introduce her to you. She has a great live as well, and you do videos, and you do a great newsletter, so maybe you want to say to all our friends what it is.
So the newsletter is Wine Wanderings, all about travel, wine, and spirits around the world. And I'm so pleased to be here with Jean-Charles. And one of the questions that I had for him that we will talk about is, what was your wine aha moment?
Ha ha ha! You have to stay with us to hear it. Tricia, so much fun to be together.
So fun to be here, thank you. Today we have Jean-Charles Boisset, and we're sitting here in this lovely setting at Raymond Vineyards in Napa Valley. And I had a question for Jean-Charles, and it was, what was your aha moment as a child or a young adult?
As a young adult is when I saw Tricia. That was my ha-ha moment in Burgundy. There she was.
I was in Burgundy, and it was so coincidental. And it's like, why aren't you in Napa?
And I was coming out of the cellar. Well, let's have a toast to that.
Let's have a toast to that.
So the ha-ha question is always so exciting because for me, dear friends, it started very early. I got to make wine since birth. I got to be in wine because my parents started in the living room of the family house, and my bedroom was upstairs. I was obviously 2, 3 years old. Started to walk, and I was walking between barrels and, you know, bateau for batonnage and all the accoutrements you need in a winery. And my parents received as they built the business together. My mother was a ballet dancer. My father was coming out of school and said, let's start the winery and get married. And they did, out of nowhere with no money, just together. And it was a great experience because they received a lot at home. And in the 70s, you got to realize the world was very different. No alarm system, no key in your house. Peaceful world, phenomenal world, raised in Vougeot. So I was kind of the sommelier. They had my sister and I participate, even though it was customers or buyers or importers, we were there serving. And it was fun for us because we meet people, we only 2 of us, my parents and my sister and I. So I served the wine. So that one night, I was 7 years old, hence JCB number 7. And my mother serves the main course, cheese, I serve all the wines. There's 4 wines in front of every guest. In 1947, 1949, 1954, 1957. 4 iconic vintages. I mean, you're talking about...
Vougeot?
Well, Clos Vougeot,
okay.
Cham Chambertin, Musigny.
Wonderful.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So, my mother doesn't drink much, but tastes, and is a very, very good taster. Amazing palate. So, in those days, you use 2 of the rooms you have. You have dinner at the dinner table, and then you retreat to the salon next to the fireplace, and you have maybe dessert, or coffee, or cognacs and armagnacs. She doesn't finish her glasses. So I do. I'm there.
Bad little boy.
And I taste, and I taste. And I did not like red wine at 7. You know, I like the whites and the bubbles. I could enjoy it. Citrus, orange peel, pineapple, grapefruit, pear, apple. You relate to it.
Right.
Very easy. Red wine, tannins, whatever. I tasted those wines, Tricia. I fell in love. I was so engaged in the wine, I finished every one of my mother's glasses. I was tipsy. My sister is a few years older, so she cleaned all the dishes. I went to my room, fell asleep. My mother the next day and pretty severe upbringing. Jean-Charles, your sister did everything, you didn't. What happened? Oh, no. I finally excuse whatever. She said, Jean-Charles, maybe I know more. My mother knows everything, as you know.
Eyes in the back of the head.
For sure. And she says, well, did you enjoy the wine? And I said, what do you mean? She says, Jean-Charles, I know what happened, but did you enjoy the wine? I said, I loved them. And it changed my vision on red wine. And she says, I'm so pleased. I'm so excited. Make sure you try the wines again. And it was an iconic moment of my life. That's why when I crafted this wine with Brian Maloney, all about my mother, seductive, charismatic, and debonair, maybe more me debonair, but the idea of that Pinot that is sensual, elegant, what you have, refined, very sophisticated, made me think of that moment of trying those three different phenomenal wines. One of our wines was finished, the 57, but I got to try the 54, the 49, and 47, which was, can you imagine in the 70s, it was a 50-year-old wine, or 40-year-old wine, 35, whatever. But it was amazing. So to answer your question, it was older vintage, Burgundy. Most likely the Clos Vougeot and the Chambertin were the two that, Musigny of course, but harder to understand, maybe more intellectual. But the Clos Vougeot charme, you have the seduction of charme, you have the Clos Vougeot, the power and the charisma. That changed my life in terms of wine in general, and red wine, Tricia specifically. And then I embarked into a journey where I was very curious. And by 10, 11 years old, I was doing pigeage on open top fermenter that you've seen in our place in Burgundy. I was doing really punch downs. I was really into it. And I love making Pinot because of the red wine characteristics. It's a white juice with a red skin. And if you have enough skin contacts, you create this beautiful, intense, rich color. Pourpre, velour, you know, those very orange, red, deep red. And it's like your beautiful dress, you know, you decided to go with a vibrant red, and then with your watch, you went to another red color, orangey color. And that's the tone of red. It's a beautiful fire color, and I became in love with red wine. And that was, in a long way, my epiphany moment. It was really what became for me the unique time where I said, I never look at red wine, it was like chocolate. Because as a young boy and child, you love chocolate, 68%. And in France, it was very sophisticated in the 70s on chocolate. You taste 78%, 64, milk chocolate, white chocolate, and the different percentage of cacao. Some not made with milks, just with water, and then obviously the butter of the cacao. And you really became an expert in chocolate, and I thought, God, chocolate and wine wouldn't be cool. And that's how really, Tricia, I know I'm telling you a much longer story than you wanted to hear, but it's important to relate it to the curiosity that enlightened me was mirrored by chocolate, from chocolate to wine, and then I could not latch away from wine. And I became really passionate with reds.
And a pure curiosity at age 7.
And not provoked by anyone, by my curiosity and me wanting to finish my mother's glass. And you know, the glass was right here, I was right there, and normally supposed to clean it. I did like the adult did. Smelled, looked, smelled. And they were doing that. I put some on the table, obviously, but I knew how to taste a little bit already. And it was great because, Tricia, we were blending multi-generational. In villages, you would have the guy who works the iron, the wood, you had the baker. It's the scale from 0 to 75, 80 years old of people, 90 years old, who would inspire you. You would go and see them in their shop, in their things, in their what they did, and you became inspired. And that's the same with me with wine.
Well, it's a wonderful story. And you are the youngest aha moment I've ever talked to. But growing up in wine, that's pretty special.
Well, and maybe I have, you know, a great advantage because I was born in a winery.
Of course. In
the vineyards of Rougeau, which is, as you know, the pinnacle of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay too, with the Pinot Rougeau Blanc that you've tried. And I was very lucky because I had grandparents and parents who were very engaging and very much close to kids, allowing kids to try everything. Today, you know, you're a great mother, and obviously with two wonderful sons, and grandmother, as you said now, who engage people through things. But my grandparents were great catalysts of asking you questions and seeing how you would answer them and pushing you to go besides what you knew and being curious. I think the highest sign of intelligence is curiosity. It's not just knowing, it's knowing that you want to know, and it's being curious to want to know.
Curiosity and critical thinking.
And you're a scientist, and you're the curious mind yourself, and that's, I think, what made me truthfully. Thereafter, what happened is my grandmother would take me to the garden that I did for her, with her, from the flowers to the orchard to the vegetables, right? All organic and biodynamically driven. And she would ask me, as you smell a wine at lunch or at dinner, which I always smell, what do you see? So she would draw on a page flour, fruit, vegetables, and any other elements I would think of. It could be a candy, it could be leather, it could be licorice, it could be vanilla, that I sense in the wine. And I was not allowed to put my lips into it unless I answered that question.
Wonderful.
Could be cassis, blueberry, you know,
cherry.
Gruyere cherry, indeed. It could be, you know, other things, white roses, or begonia, or lily in the valley. Here we go, herbs. And she would do a pie chart like this, divided in 4 or 5, depending on mood, or 6, and you would have to put it, and then you would taste. But use your mind to think, what do you see? And I think that's essential in life, is to engage all of ourselves into critical thinking, and a thinking that questions the fait établi,
yes,
the existing format that we're given.
Think out of the box. You have to teach your children to do that. So I'm going to thank Jean Charles for telling me about his aha moment, a very special one. Thank you.
And to all the mothers, always inspiration to all your children, specifically your son, as you all know, ladies, as you are with your 2 boys. So to you, Tricia, for asking a great question.
To you, John Charles.
And for having enlightened your own children into being who they are today.
Thank you. To yours.